Go ahead and call this meeting to order, Oconee County Council, January 22nd, right at 6 o'clock. We'll start with public comment session. Before we begin, just want to advise everybody on the new little sign. That way we don't have to interrupt everybody. Our clerk to council, Ms. Katie Smith, will hold up the 1 minute remaining sign and followed by the time's up. That way we don't have to interrupt and you can speak your 4 minutes as we have on here. First we have Mr. Tony Adams. Here you go.
Before I start, I want to tell you, council members, I have struck one statement out of this that I thought might be a little controversial. So I thought it'd be good to strike that out. But what I'm going to do is read this information I just give to the county council to the rest of you. I was disappointed to see that the current status of council's recruiting for a new county administrator was not included during the public part of tonight's meeting, like Mr. Davis said it would be in the Seneca newspaper a few days ago. With that being said, I do believe the residents of Oconee County need to be updated on the status of this search and the associated cost that county taxpayers will be asked to pay. Mr. Elliott has expressed a desire to do a national search conducted by a national search firm. On the other hand, at the last council meeting, Mr. Kane said the application process would be reopened. No matter what the council's future plans are, I believe the residents of Oconee deserve an accurate estimate of the anticipated future cost of this recruitment, as well as the funds already expended in the search. Since Mr. Elliott is a council member who brought up the national search by a national firm, I believe it would be pertinent if Mr. Elliott provided these numbers, especially since he has a long, successful business career and knows the importance of cost savings and good accounting principles. Second, I question the need for County Ordinance 2018-35 pertaining to no term limits for the members of the County Aeronautics Commission. I believe we all see that no term limits have done to us in Columbia and Washington. And I would believe the vast majority of Oconee residents agree with me. It seems the airport has been operating fine since the disagreement with the county had with Jerry Edwards a few years ago over ownership of the county airport. The Aeronautics Commission should be appointed just like any other county commission. Third, I question Resolution 2019-01 at its first reading and final reading. As you can see, this resolution is as follows. A resolution authorizing the Oconee County Council Chair to execute and deliver the consent of Oconee County, South Carolina, to the notice of transfer of state-issued certificates of franchise authority and other matters related thereto. This may be fine, but it needs to be explained in layman's terms that interested Oconee residents can understand, so they will know what Mr. Davis may be transferring that belongs to them. Third, the Planning and Economic Development Committee has recommended that a second business incubator be established near Clemson University. Does this have any impact on the already approved spec building in the Golden Corner Commerce Park near Fairplay? The residents of Southern Oconee would like to know the current status of this spec building, as well as the entrance work to that park that was either completed or abandoned. The grant for Phase 2 of the Sewer South project is on tonight's agenda. When this comes up, I and a lot of other residents would like to know the status of the county's negotiations with the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority on that organization taking ownership of the Sewer South system. This grant requires that Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority have ownership of Sewer South before the grant can be or could be received. If I remember correctly, the Sewer Authority was originally scheduled to vote on taking ownership
Time's up, Mr. Adams.
on or about December 5th, 2018. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Beverly Brackett.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Beverly Brackett, and I wanted to come tonight to take an opportunity to introduce myself to you. I am your new chair of the Public Library's Board of Trustees. My background is that I have 14 years of public library service in Pickens County, the first few of which were spent as a reference assistant, and then I went back to school over the internet, got my master's degree, and became a full-fledged public librarian. So I bring a perspective to the Board of Trustees that perhaps not everybody has, that of an actual working librarian, along with Blair. And I wanted to let you know that, like most people, I have a bucket list in life, and I've lived in Seneca for a long time. One of my things on my bucket list is to see to it that the Seneca Library is replaced with a building that is larger and more suitable for the purpose of the needs of the citizens of Oconee County. I work in the main branch of the Pickens County Public Library System in Easley. And as you know, that building is 14 years old, roughly the same as my tenure. And I have occasionally heard that building referred to as the Taj Mahal, due to its large size and its expense. I just thought you might like to know that the Taj Mahal is translated as crown of palaces. It was built in the 1600s by Shah Jahan for his beloved wife, Mumtaz Jahan, and it is in Agra in India. It is widely considered one of the most beautiful buildings in the world and the crown jewel of public buildings in India. He built this building for his late wife after she died in childbirth because he loved her above all other things in the world, and he wanted her to have the best, even in death. And so to call the building in Pickens County the Taj Mahal is not an insult. A county that truly loves its citizens will build them a Taj Mahal for their library system. And when you build that, people will come and businesses will come. And you will be surprised at what will come out of it. I know this because I've seen it over the past 14 years. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? That's a question librarians always ask.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Any written comments can be delivered to our clerk counsel over here. Any council member comments?
Yes, I've got one comment.
Yes, sir.
I've had several residents email me and phone me concerning the new development behind the Covidian building that will dump into South Cove. I've talked to Mayor Alexander, and I've talked to the city administrator, expressed our concerns. And I think it's going to take the developer, the city of Seneca, the county planning commission, and the state DOT all working together to solve this problem of additional 500 cars that will be dumping into the Bounty Land intersection. And I just want to let everybody know that we're well aware of it, and we hope to find a solution.
Anybody else? Mr. Elliott, on that note with traffic, would there be, it hadn't occurred since I've been on here, is there a meeting between county council and DOT where we talk about traffic issues and patterns and everything like that? Or does that occur with just the planning department and DOT or the planning members? Or is that something that we can possibly arrange to discuss some issues, not just with that one? There's probably 5 or 6 of them that are occurring. That'd be something you can look into.
I'm happy to. There are annual stakeholder meetings, but generally they're highway department updates rather than a place for forums.
Yeah. So, man, Mr. Adams, just to address you on a few of your things, the reason why you have the executive item on there is to talk about that. Obviously, any decision and voting matter, or if we do decide to go, all of that will be obviously public information, always has been. So there's not any cost associated with that. We've spent time during that process, but not a cost. The term limits of the Aeronautics Commission was brought up by the Aeronautics Commission itself, by the majority of members. Mr. Davis is not transferring anything that belongs to them. That comes from council direction. Whether it was me, this chair, or Mr. Elliott, or Mr. Kane, or Mr. Hart, or Mr. McCall, that is always the way that reads, because the council chair is directing it at the direction of his council. So we'll move on to a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Invocation, Mr. Root.
Pray with me if you'd like to. Father, thank you. Thank you for this day that you've made. I really pray that you instill in us appreciative hearts, that we don't take things for granted. The ability to breathe and move and interact with one another. Help us to be mindful of the time you've given us. Waste it. One day at a time, not looking too far forward or regretting the past, but learning from it, and that we enjoy each moment as it passes along, and then we make an impact in our lives in this county through your wisdom, by your spirit that you can impart to us. We ask for that and pray that this meeting would be your meeting.
Mr. Elliott, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to approve January 8th regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Administrator comments, Ms. Brock?
Mr. Davis, you and I had previously discussed the non-necessity for going over every single item on the agenda. Should anyone like that to format to go back, we can do that at any time. Essentially, tonight I'd like to say welcome to everyone. This is my first time sitting in this chair in a really long time. There's coffee and cookies in the back because these have a tendency to get long. And welcome to Mr. Elliott for his second and my first with you. So.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We'll start with public hearing on the following ordinances. Ordinance 2018-34, ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a residential lease agreement between Oconee County as lessor and Kent Crooks as lessee for certain real property, including all improvements thereon located at 207 Crooks Road, Seneca, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
No, it's not a motion. No, we're just on public hearing. No one has signed up for that. Does anybody wish to speak on ordinance 2018-34 at this time? Do any written comments can go to our clerk to council, Ms. Katie Smith? All right, we're going to close ordinance 2018-34 public hearing. Ordinance 2018-35 public hearing for an ordinance to amend Division 2, Article 4, Chapter 2 of the Oconee County Code and ordinances by making clear that the term limits do not apply to members of the County Aeronautics Commission and other matters related thereto. There's no one signed up. Does anybody wish to speak on ordinance 2018-35 this evening? Written comments can be sent to clerk to council. I'll close public hearing 2018-35. Third reading, we'll start with ordinance 2018-34, which is the execution of the 207 Crooks Road. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ordinance 2018-35, which is the aeronautics term limits. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Second reading of the following ordinance. There are none tonight. First reading of the following ordinance, which is ordinance 2019-04, which is an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an addendum to the lease agreement between Oconee County as lessor and Oconee Heritage Center Incorporated, now known as the Oconee History Museum Incorporated, as lessee in relation to the premises known as the Tobacco Barn located at the corner of Tougaloo Street and Broad Street in Walhalla, South Carolina. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-06, ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of a general obligation bond, the Kiwi Fire Tax District of Oconee County, South Carolina, and the principal amount not to exceed $550,000, fixing the form and certain details of the bond, authorizing the county administrator to determine the certain matters relating to the bond, providing for the payment of the bond and the disposition of the proceeds thereof, and other matters relating thereto. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-07, ordinance to amend Chapter 22 of Oconee County Code of Ordinance entitled Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, and other matters thereto. Have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-08, ordinance to amend Oconee County's road encroachment permit policy and encroachment permit application and other matters related thereto. Motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Does this bring us in, compliance with the state policy guidelines?
If I may, Mr. Chair? It
Yes.
does, it doesn't change anything that, we stay in compliance with state guidelines. All this does, this was asked for by Kyle Reed with Roads and Bridges. It makes clear that we can only grant, and it's consistent with state law, only grant an encroachment consistent with the county's interest in the road. So if we have a deeded right-of-way, say we essentially have fee simple almost to that portion of property, we can grant a greater easement right or encroachment right, whereas if we just have it by prescriptive easement, we may only be able to allow somebody to encroach on the surface of the roadway. So that makes that more clear. But yes, it's consistent with state law, and it's just for clarity purposes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other? Go ahead.
On the prescriptive right of way, most time the people actually are outside of the county maintaining the road for them on that property. What do you do on a case like that? Do you have any sticky situations with that?
If I may, Mr. Chair, yes, I know that Mr. Reed and the Roads and Bridges Department does have that because a lot of times those are dirt roads. And so we have ditch to ditch generally that we would maintain as county, essentially easement property. A lot of times those lines are run outside of the ditch, and we will claim no interest in that. We won't grant any type of encroachment in that, and that any dispute would be between the landowner and the utility. The county does get brought in sometimes because those lines aren't exactly clear, but they have, I mean, since I've been here maybe only 3 times, and we've been able to navigate through it and make it clear. This will help in that situation. This clarification to the encroachment permit will get rid of those few and help the utilities going forward.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. First and final reading following resolution 2019-01, resolution authorizing the Oconee County Council Chair to execute and deliver the consent of Oconee County, South Carolina to the notice and transfer of state-issued certificate of franchise authority and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
if I
please.
could, because as Mr. Adams brought up, it doesn't read in plain English, and I've been doing this for almost 25 years now, and I think I've lost the ability to write like a normal human. So this is on me that it doesn't, but in essence, just to clarify it for everybody, at one time, counties could issue franchises to cable companies. We lost that right. The state took it, but the state still asked for the county's consent for cable franchises. This isn't a new cable franchise. This is just Charter transferring its franchise over to its successor, its child company, essentially, Spectrum. So we're just consenting to that. Our council is allowing you to sign off on that consent.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I do not have charter cable or internet or any of the sort for any collusionist out there. All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we do have some action items tonight. I'll go ahead and have Sheriff Crenshaw, he'll go ahead and make his way up here because we're going to have some, it'll save some time. So we have the grant submission for fiscal year 19, South Carolina Department of Public Safety, Highway Safety 4-person Traffic Safety Unit, program seeking grant funding for 529005. Just a few notes out here. The grant submission deadline, February 1st, 2019, seeking first-year funding for a 4-person special traffic unit. It includes 3 road corporals, road sergeant, and 4 police SUV vehicles, officer equipment, public awareness campaign. And the goal of this is to reduce death and collisions, reduce speeding, DUIs and impaired drive, and increase seatbelt and helmet usage. The grant application process, as stated, was 529005, as you see on the boards up there. This is no cash match on there from the county during the 3-year renewable grant process on there. And the sheriff's office was contributing $46,560 that will need to be budgeted in for 2021. And after the conclusion of the grant, the sheriff's office will commit to funding any safety traffic efforts. And then I'll allow you a chance to kind of go over a few things.
Okay, thank you. The intent here, of course, this grant has been available in previous years, and we've applied for it. It had been approved, I think, last year, but the federal government never appropriated any money to fund it for us. So, you know, we wanted to reapply. It's an opportunity. It's one of the few grants that you don't see a match on. It's a 100% grant that's renewable every year up to 3 years, and then year 4 going forward, it would be up to council whether or not, you know, that continued to be funded. I'm sure there's an obligation there at least in year 4 to fund it. I'm not sure legally year 5, year 6, is there a legal obligation as well to fund that after? Either you or the chief. I don't know if there's a legal obligation. There is.
Mr. Ritter, will you come forward further?
Yeah. Mr. Ritter obviously, had submitted the grant for us, but it's, You know, for us, it's an opportunity to basically get 4 deputy positions to address traffic-related issues, fully funded for the first 3 years. If you look over the 3-year period, that's $600,000 to $700,000. And then year 4 going forward, be around 50, 100, be about 200,000 a year for salary and fringe benefits for those 4 positions. You know, I hope I can come back to you if we do go forward tonight and they approve this and approve funding for it on the federal level, that we can come back in 3 years and show you numbers of traffic fatalities that's reduced in Oconee County, increased arrests for driving under the influence, driving under the suspension, you know, educational efforts that we're doing with our young people, especially with texting and driving related education. And certainly by year 4, you know, I hope our county's grown enough that there's no additional burden upon the taxpayer. You know, as far as funding, that we've got the appropriate revenue to fund it. But bottom line, you know, it funds 100%. That cost that we're going to have to come up with, that they do not fund body cameras. Is that correct, Ms. Ritter? That we would actually have to fund, for whatever reason, this grant doesn't fund body cameras, but we would want you know, we have a state law, so we have to abide by that.
Is that the 46,560? Is that what that amount is for?
Council, Sharon DeRitter,
Yes,
Grants
ma'am.
Administrator. We came up with an amount, even though it's a 100% grant. They like to see you have a cash match, some skin in the game. So the sheriff's office, because it's going to take about 3 to 4 months to buy the vehicles on the state contract and get them outfitted, the sheriff has said that they will loan some of the vehicles. So some of that's going to have to be encumbered by the sheriff's office. There is items that the grant funding will never pay for, guns and bullets, and like the bulletproof vest, because there's grant funding for that. For the body-worn cameras, there's grant funding out of the same office for that. So they don't want you to go for one piece of item that can be funded by another one. So we just, you know, it was just an itemized, coming up with an approximate amount that it could be 46,000, it could be, you know, less. But right now we're trying to figure out it based on the best we can.
What were the stipulations on the term after the grant is over?
They would like you to, forever. I'm going to tell you, just by my experience of writing grants, you have a grant that they give you $500,000 and about $250,000 for the next 2 more years. So almost $1 million worth of grants, and you've got to do the stats, and we've got to do the arrests, and they got to approve us each year for first, second, third year. You have to keep it going, because they find out that you don't. We'll get a ding in our little name, and we will not get grants probably 3 to 5 years from now. So I'm going to tell you that, do they say that you've got to do the exact same thing? So these 4 vehicles and these 4 per person officers have to do this exact same thing. They can't go and do SROs with those vehicles. They can't go and do you know, boats and Marines or something. So they have to do this type of commitment. Yeah, and we would love to have it. Our county is not in the top 20 for DUIs and speeding and people not wearing seatbelts. We're not in the top 20. We're not in the top 20 of the counties in the state. We don't want to be in there. I don't know about you, but I don't want Oconee County to be in the top 20 that has DUIs and speeding and killing and fatalities and collisions. So we want to get it before that. So we fall out just outside the category of the top 20. And last year we were awarded, but 17 counties above us took all the money. So we didn't have any money to give to us, even though we were awarded. So they said, please apply again, and we're doing that now.
Right. And the main reason I ask that question is just so council understands the longevity of adding to the budget, which is obviously we don't decrease our officers. We, you know, with everything, unfortunately, crime and speeding and things like that aren't going away. But I know we're doing a good job out there and appreciate, you know, doing the best job that we can. And I think that the grant, you know, just from the patrol vehicles, adding the 4 vehicles in there is well worth the grant process on there. So, and I obviously understand the idea to get a grant is to continue doing and funding it, with the hope that what it's doing is reducing, not just for our county, but across there for people that are coming in. With our tourism destination that we spend a lot of money advertising, which it is, working, we're not necessarily adding a huge population number, but the amount of cars coming through here with our industries and coming to the lakes and everything like that is necessary, so.
Yes, sir. My concern going forward is, she shared we're not in the worst counties. But I know, and I've expressed this to the Highway Patrol, we have less troopers in Oconee County now than we had 30 years ago when I started my career. And sometimes it takes them an hour or so to get to an accidents. But yet the traffic's increased, the number of citizens have increased. So, traffic safety is a concern, and obviously we hope to be able to do that through education and keep those fatalities. We don't want to be in the top 20, so we want to go even lower than that, hopefully with 4 officers dedicated solely to this.
And this is a two-part. We would vote to apply for the grant, and then we'd have to vote again to accept the grant, correct? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I think I'm just either confused, maybe I probably heard the sheriff wrong, or I read the backup wrong. I'm not sure if this is a grant for 3 years or 4 years of funding, or just for 1 year with a 3-year subsequent commitment to fund.
I'll answer that. It's a first year, and I'm not going to say all grants are that way, but most grants, 95% of grants are for 1 year. And so they're going to look at us again for the second year. We're going to apply again. Hopefully we have the stats that back it up, and it shows a great commitment that we're out there, public awareness or arrests or fines or whatever you want to say, lower in death rates, people wearing their seatbelts and wearing their helmets. So every year for 3 years, you have to reapply.
The other counties that got that, are they getting their second and third year, is what you have seen?
That's true.
Okay.
Out of the top of the 17, 9 of them had already gotten their first year already, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other comments? All right. We don't have public comment. But you can, anything that you want to, you can submit to our clerk to counsel on there. Okay. You'll have to step up here. Is that okay, counsel? All right. Sorry.
I'm Gordon Howard.
Yes, sir.
I just want to know, we're hiring 4 people for 4 years or 4 people each additional year?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess that is confusing. 4 people total. So we would hire 4 people in year 1, and that's the total number of people we would hire. But those salaries would have to be funded in year 2 and year 3. So it will be a 4-person unit that's dedicated to traffic education, traffic enforcement, trying to get DUIs off the road and that type.
And you, Sheriff Crenshaw, you'll be here so if you have any questions, he'll be here too after the.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let me just make one more clarification. A grant could possibly totally be funded, or they could come back and call the sheriff and say, we would like to only give you half the money. Could you live with only 2 officers? So just to let you know that there's always that possibility that we don't get the entire amount.
And that could be decided in the second vote, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other? All right. You got a motion to approve?
Make motion.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, we have another action item. So 2007 Pierce 75-foot aerial Quint ladder truck emergency service, $350,000. To have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All right, I do have a discussion. Mr. King, will you come up and just explain that real quick on what you're doing to save the taxpayers money in such a purchase? And the reason for the ladder truck?
Thank you for the opportunity to explain. I know we discussed in an earlier meeting this afternoon. But essentially, the truck is being purchased within our budget. We were allotted money to purchase 3 fire engines this year within our capital replacement plan. This truck will be bought as one of those replacement engines. It serves the purpose as an engine with the addition of an aerial ladder and master stream on the top of it. Over the last 18 months, 2 years, we've all experienced and the growth that's happening in 123 corridor, Lake Kiowee, with the additional student housing and commercial development that's happening there. And that's forced us to go from having just a fire engine to something capable of having an aerial ladder with the additional hotels. The Lakeside Lodge that's coming up and the apartment buildings going on at the Epic project. So again, just a continuous needs assessment showed the change from a fire engine to an aerial ladder going into the area. We did have a cost comparison. We went through the experience 2 years ago when we bought a demo ladder at the cost of about $850,000, so we know what a new one cost. We went back to the truck manufacturer that we used 2 years ago and verified that price was still good, and it put us on the road the last 6 months, looking at upwards of 10 late model, low mileage, good quality used trucks that essentially would serve the purpose and life we would expect them to here. So our motor pool team and our logistics staff is in Houston today. This one was a short order. There was a list of folks waving money around to buy this one. We were in Alabama last week, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 2 weeks ago, again looking at trucks. So this one was short order, had to move quick on it, but because of the low mileage, 12,000 miles, low hours, just again a good quality truck and a savings right at $500,000 on the cost of a new one, and again it'll fit our needs for a long time.
I got a question. Did you apply for a grant for any of this?
Used apparatus aren't available on grants. That the department where this was going received a $500,000 grant for a new engine in last budget year, so it wouldn't have been eligible for a second one that quick around.
Can I get you to come up, Mr. Ritter?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ritter, I'd like to know how you can help the county, the department heads, with your knowledge of grants and how to achieve those.
As a grants administrator, my role is to help this county save money. When we get to budget time and we start doing the budget planning, people should be coming to me to say, hey, listen, I would like to see if we can increase manpower. I want to start a new program. I'd like to buy new equipment or whatever that entails. People are not doing that. Department heads should be thinking 18 months to a year out, coming to see me and say, Mr. Ritter, I have a wish list, I have a dream. See if you can find me some grant funding. I will tell you that probably that $800,000 fire truck, we probably could have tried to look for a grant. I will tell you, FEMA, this past year, October 26th was the deadline date, and there were some problems with Chief King that we had about that. We have a population between 20,000 and 100,000. We could have gotten a brand new vehicle for 10% cash match. So an $800,000 ladder truck, fire truck, whatever, would have only cost this county 10%. So $80,000. So $80,000 is a lot less than $350 that you're spending for a used 10-year-old vehicle. I will tell you, I pulled up tonight for the awardees that came out in March 1st. They're going to have the award selection being coming up, but for 2017, they have the list, and it goes back all the way to like 2006. In South Carolina, there was 2 fire stations, CB Volunteer Fire Station in Ladson, South Carolina, vehicle acquisition, $476,000. There was another one for $465,000 out of the Columbia area. So people in South Carolina, fire stations in South Carolina are getting vehicles, not for the training, not for people, not for officer safety and things like that, which are some of the categories. But I'm telling you, we need to look for grants to help pay for the taxpayers' money, to help the county so that we don't have to pay $800,000 or $350,000 for a vehicle.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna get in a tug of war between employees, which is what you're attempting to do.
I would request that we not, please.
Yes. I would, like to make a statement that I do appreciate the ones that are, out there looking at the ladder truck and the time that y'all spent in this in order to save that. I do know that we do a great job, and I appreciate, the grants that we apply for. There's multiple reasons why, certain grants aren't applicable to this point. I also understand that as well. We have gotten grants. I do appreciate what you do in your department. We're not gonna have that go on in here because that's absolutely ridiculous. I also wanted to put on here, you can get to talk in just a second. We do have on here from Mr. Beck, who was inspecting the vehicle today, saying that we have thoroughly inspected the 2007 Pierce ladder truck at Siddons Martin Group from Texas Fire Trucks in Houston, Texas. After the inspection, it'd be my recommendation to purchase the ladder truck for Oconee County's Rural Fire Department. Thank you, Ernie Beck, Maintenance Director, and we'll have that in the material as well. Yes, sir.
Well, I just didn't want you taking my right to speak away. As far as this goes, I got emails earlier. I think the gentleman we're talking about waited till the last 3 hours to submit the day of the grant. And I think we got people that if they can pick up a $500,000 for the county, for the taxpayers, we need to be looking at that. And if that's part of their job, they need to be doing it. Your floor.
Any other questions for Mr. King? Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Board and commission appointments, Aeronautics Commission, District 1, do we have a nomination?
Yes, I nominate Randy Rentz.
Okay. Do I have a second on that? I'll second it. Any discussion on that?
Is he a pilot?
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? District 3, Ms. Smith, did we have anybody on District 3?
Mr. Kane did have some nominations, sir, but was unable to attend the meeting this evening and said if it was okay with y'all, he would rather do that on the 5th.
Okay. We have a large seat. We did not have one that I saw on a large seat. Okay. So we still have an Aeronautics Commission large seat. Mr. Elliott, if you don't mind checking with your, unless somebody else has one. Do you have one, Mr. McCall?
I heard, Dan Sudeth wants to go back on the Aeronautics Commission.
Okay. Ms. Smith, can you reach out now?
I've got his contact number.
Okay. Okay. All right. So once we get the thing in, we can bring that up on the next one. So we'll keep that on. The Ag Advisory Board, District 1, is there a nomination?
Yes, I nominate Walter Rickard.
Okay, I'll second that. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor? Aye. District 3, is there a nomination? You want to wait on all of them? Okay, we'll wait on that one. And at-large seat on the Ag Advisory Board? I don't have any list up here.
Printed perfectly.
Yeah. These are the same ones that you emailed? Okay, sorry. I did not print them out and bring them tonight. So there was, if I'm reading that right, there's 3 for the at-large seat. Am I reading that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Has the,
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
And then for ag, just one.
I'm sorry, I'm one step ahead. Yes,
hmm,
one for the ag board. I was on library already, sorry about that.
right, but there's 3, there was
for
3,
library, 3 applications for
1 seat.
ag board, 1 open seat, correct.
Okay. Has council had a chance to review all ag board? Okay.
I nominate, Debbie Sewell.
You second?
One moment, please. I'm not sure we have a questionnaire on.
There he is.
I got it.
She can be transferred to the at-large box if she will take that nomination for that seat, but she had requested to be in her own district. I don't see that she wouldn't do that, being as how I know her. We'll ask her if she'd accept the at-large nomination, and if that's okay, is that good?
It is with me.
Perfect. If not, we'll bring it back to council again on the 5th.
So there's, wow, this is the only one that we have multiple people on. Everybody else we're like scratching for. So you have a second? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The Board of Zoning Appeals, District 1.
I nominate James Hogner.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
I'm gonna recluse myself because I've been in legal litigation against him.
Okay, Mr. McCall recuses. Whew. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Ms. Smith, you got that right? Recuse? Okay, just making sure. All right, we'll wait on District 3. At-large seat, do I have a nomination? We do have William Gilster on there, which is actually represents District 3. Do I hear a nomination?
Mr. Chairman, you maybe want to wait on that. That may be Mr. Kane's nomination. for
Oh, it
District
is, I'm
3.
sorry, that's correct. All right, any at-large seat nominations on zoning appeals? Okay. Building Code Appeal, District 1.
I'd like to reappoint George Smith.
Okay, I'll second that. Any other, questions on District 1 nomination? All in favor? Aye. At-large seat, I don't think we had one, did we? I didn't see one on that one. Okay. Still need an at-large seat on that. Or sorry, that was District 3. Library Board, we have 3 at-large seats. That we have. I'd like to nominate Marie McMahon.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? She actually represents District 1. Obviously, these are at-large seats. We just wanted that out there. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have another nomination, Catherine Hester Campbell Smith, District 4. I'll make the nomination.
Second.
Any other discussion? She represents District 4. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And let's see. We have a Diane Smathers, District 5, Library Board. I hear a nomination.
So move.
Second.
And there was also one other one, right? Is that 4? I can't count. That's all 4. Okay, we're gonna fill them all. Okay, I got you. Any other discussion on that one? All in favor on Ms. Smathers? Aye. Any opposed? All right. The last one we got, is that Sarah Melendez? Did I say that correctly? Hopefully.
Yes, you did.
All right. Council District 2 is what she represents.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
as of that last vote, all 3 of those seats were
Oh,
filled.
Okay. I can't count.
If you need to rescind one of those for some reason and reconsider another person, you can do so by vote, but those seats
Okay.
are now.
Thank you for keeping me straight.
Yes, sir. I can count to 3, but that's my tops.
Okay. All right. Is that okay?
That's,
Okay.
only thing I'd like to add, she just represents the Hispanic community.
Okay. And keep in mind, if we'd like to add more seats, that could come from that board.
Yes, thank you.
Would that be, Mr. Root, what would be the proper method if we so chose to add any seats to any board or the board wished to add?
Generally, y'all can add them by ordinance. The Library Board of Trustees is a little bit of a different entity. You know, they have a little bit more autonomy, and I'm not sure if they're capped at 9 or not. I'll just have to look into it before we.
I don't know for sure about the state law versus just.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. Blair Henson, the library director. I'm not sure if the rules regarding the board in terms of their makeup and everything is mandated by state law, because part of that does come down from, you know, state law and home rule and all that, or if that's simply their bylaws, you know, that currently dictates they have 9 members. I'm not really sure.
I'll have to check. We'll
Okay.
get it squared.
So there wouldn't be an objection to adding another member if you so chose?
No, sir. I mean, you
Okay.
know, as long as it meets legal requirements and everything, yes, sir, there'd be no
Okay.
problem.
I'll have Mr. Reed check into that. It's actually a rare occasion that we have multiple people apply for anything, so it's a good thing. So, doing a good job at library board. Everybody wants to come be your friend, so. All right. Arts and Historical Commission, District 1.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Aubrey Miller.
Okay. I'll second that. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. And we have an at-large seat, but we do not have a nomination at this time. So we'll move on. Mr. Kane just wanted me to do his plan and economic development?
No,
Okay.
sir. No, sir, the last I'd spoken to him, no. He
Okay.
said the only thing he would like to get accomplished this evening without making the evening longer was the approval for the county to begin exploring the potential location for the second incubator site as stated on the agenda.
Okay. We do need a motion for approval of Oconee County to begin exploring potential locations for a second incubator, closer proximity to Clemson University per the unanimous recommendation by the Planning and Economic Development Committee on December 4th, 2018. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion? And just understand there's not a cost to exploring the potential locations. We're just giving direction. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have no unfinished business. Any new business to wish to be discussed? I'll need a motion to go into executive session for the following purposes. 1, to receive legal advice to discuss a contractual matter between Sewer South Transfer and Operation Agreement with Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority. 2, to discuss regarding an economic development project, Project Aztec. 3, discussion regarding economic development project POP. 4, discussion regarding an economic development matter, Project Plan 4. And 5, receive legal advice and discuss personnel matter related to hiring a permanent county administrator to include discussion of approach and process. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. to reconvene?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No action was taken in executive session. Mr. Root?
Yes, sir. The action items that we have noted after executive session, those were if necessary. They are not necessary, but if I could get a motion to direct the county attorney with the county administrator to continue negotiations as discussed with the sewer authority.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion. Second.